Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I'm making this video because there's a lot of misinformation going around and mostly confusion about the lifespan of your coach batteries, the batteries that run all the electrical things inside your RV. For example, you can have three RVers all with the same type of batteries, and one will say, my batteries only lasted me 2 years. Another guy will say, well, mine lasted 4 years. Another guy will say, well, mine lasted 6 years. And they would all be correct. The reason for that big variance is not because of really years, it's because of how much they use their batteries. The number of years a battery has been used is a very minor factor. The big thing is how much you use your batteries. So the guy whose batteries only lasted 2 years, he's the kind of guy who boondocks nearly all the time. Let's say 90% of the time. And the guy whose batteries lasted 6 years, he's the kind of guy who is plugged into shore power 90% of the time. So if you're plugged into shore power, you're not using your batteries at all. The shore power is powering everything in your RV. Your batteries are just not getting used at all. But when you're boondocking, you're totally relying on your batteries. Well, that's assuming that you're not using your generator. Therefore, it's not really applicable to judge the lifespan of batteries based on the number of years, because the use of them can vary so much from one RVer to another. You really can't compare one RVer to another unless they're both using the batteries pretty much the same amount. So the way you should judge battery lifespan is based on cycles. How many cycles your batteries have lasted. Now the definition of a cycle is having a battery charged up to 100%, running the battery down to dead or almost dead, let's say maybe 10%, and then charging it back up to 100%. That's one cycle. However, no one charges the batteries up completely and then runs them all the way down. And cycles are cumulative, meaning if your batteries are fully charged, you run them down to 50%, that's a half a cycle. So if you do that twice, that's one cycle. And if you go from 75 to 25 and then back up to 75 and down to 25, that's one cycle. So as you can imagine, that is extremely difficult to keep track of. You would have to be very meticulous. Now, one big benefit with my batteries is that they have a built-in battery monitor that keeps track of the cycles. And my batteries send a Bluetooth signal to my cell phone to give me the data on it. So let me show you that now. I am now plugged into shore power. And this is the app on my phone from my batteries. It shows they're now at 13.8 volts. And 0, that is the net amps. And it's at 0 because I'm not using my batteries. I'm on shore power right now. And it shows my batteries have been through 187 cycles. However, I have used these batteries for just under 2 years now. So in 2 years of days, 365 times 2, my batteries have actually only been through 187 cycles. So with that being tracked, I know just how far run down my batteries are compared to the several thousand cycles I expect them to last. Now let me show you a website that says pretty much the same thing. This is batterymanguide.com, and it says here, when people talk about battery lifespan, they expect to talk about it in terms of years. This is reasonable, as the number of years can be a good indicator of how long a battery will last, but it is never accurate. And there are factors such as weather, purpose, and climate, and purpose is the most important factor, that make predicting the years of service very unreliable. This is why some people express a lifespan of a battery in cycles, and that some should be everybody. And here it says a cycle, simply put, is a process of a complete discharge and recharge. And there are pretty much just 4 different types of batteries: flooded lead acid, AGM lead acid, gel type batteries, and lithium batteries. Now, every type of battery has one thing in common: they have a lifespan. When at some point after they've been used so much, they really just can't be used anymore. Now, the way you know that your battery has gone bad and it's time to replace it is when you charge your battery. Normally you would get so many hours of use out of it before you need to recharge it again. So if you have your battery 100% charged, and if that normally lasts you 24 hours, but now you're finding that it's gradually worked its way down to where a full charge is only lasting you 12 hours, then your battery is mostly shot. And I went through that with my first set of batteries with my motorhome, the factory installed batteries. For the first year and a half that I had them, I used them probably 90% of the time. I was rarely on shore power for that first year and a half. I really ran my batteries hard. So mine only lasted about a year and a half before, after a full charge, they wouldn't even last a half a day, and I would have to charge them up again. After doing that so many times, I said, this is just too much for me. It's time to get new batteries. At some point, you just got to break down and do it. And when I did it, I replaced those flooded lead acid batteries, which, in my opinion, is the worst type of battery to get. I replaced mine with lithium batteries, which, in my opinion, especially for boondocking use, is the only type of battery that is really appropriate or really useful, is lithium batteries, for many reasons. And I've done other videos about my batteries. Now let me show you a couple other websites that talk about the lifespan. This is batteryuniversity.com, and one thing it says is sealed lead acid batteries provides 200 to 300 discharge charge cycles. Now that can vary a lot with lead acid batteries. So when you're shopping around for batteries, of the all various specifications they will show about the batteries, I think the most important factor is how many cycles the battery is rated at. Let me show you another website about lithium batteries. This is the battlebornbatteries.com website, which is probably the most popular lithium battery, and it says they are rated for 3,000 to 5,000 cycles, and down here it says approximately 75 to 80% of the battery capacity will remain after 3,000 cycles. So after 3,000, you've still got at least 75% of your battery capacity remaining. So they will last, as it says here, up to 5,000 cycles. And 5,000 is going to be the point to where you're kind of experiencing the same thing I did, where a full charge just doesn't last you very long. Now, a lot of people really rave about AGM batteries. People love AGM batteries. And if I was going to get some type of battery other than my lithiums, I would probably go with AGM, even though AGM batteries cost about 50% more than lead acid, and they have a lower lifespan than flooded lead acid batteries. Now, what type of battery you get is very particular to you. Number one is what type of use you're going to put them through. Are you on shore power 90% of the time, or are you boondocking 90% of the time, or something in between? So when you're shopping for batteries, there's a lot of factors to look at. And there's a lot of different qualities of batteries. And like I said, the number one quality factor that I think is most important is how many cycles a battery is rated at, because that's how long you can expect that particular battery to last. So look for that whenever you go battery shopping, and I hope this video has helped you when time comes where you're tired of fussing around with your old batteries, and you're just gonna have to bite the bullet and say, okay, it's time to buy new batteries. Good day, folks.